In this video, what we're looking at is a topic called reliability. And as part of this, we're going to look at three words in particular. One is reliability, one is availability, and one is redundancy. Now, what reliability means, or the definition of this, is how well a system operates without stopping. And so this is exactly how we think of reliability on our own systems. So if you have a home computer, if that home computer, the operating system's often crashing on you, or the programs on it are often crashing, we'll say that it's an unreliable computer. Whereas if it's always smoothly operating and nothing ever goes wrong, we'll say that it's a reliable system. So how well a system operates without stopping is how reliable that system is. Next word we need to look at is availability. And so the availability of a system is the percentage of time that a system is up for or is available for. So we can look at the example of a web host, and so web hosts often will quote a percentage of 99%, or sometimes even 99.9% uptime, or even 99.999% uptime if you have a really reliable web host. And what this means is if we have, say, a 99% availability or uptime, what that means is that if we were to have 100 days, within 100 days, they would guarantee that the system would be down, your website would be down for less than 1 day, because that would get you the 99%. But it doesn't have to be just as 1 day. It could be that it's down for a certain number of hours spread over the 100 days, and that's going to be less than 24 hours in total. In the case of 99.9%, within 1,000 days, which is approximately 3 years, you would only expect that website to be down for up to 24 hours. The last concept we're going to look at is the one called redundancy. And this is the duplication, so that's the repetition, the duplication of electronics as an alternative in case of failure. So the repetition of an electronic piece of equipment as an alternative in case of a failure. So the idea is that you will have, for instance, in hard disks, 2 hard disks running, and they both have copies on, and then if one of them fails, we can replace it. And what we're going to do is look a little more at that exact concept with relation to hard disk drives. So let's look. This is a hard disk drive. And let's just have a look at what different components we've got inside a hard disk drive. So this part here is the platter. And this part here, right at the tip, is the drive head. And inside here in the middle, there is a motor. And this part that the drive head sits on, there is like a motor, but we call it an actuator, and this moves backwards and forwards so that the drive head can move across the platter here. Now, what can happen is a number of things can fail with a hard disk. Hard disks are not made to last forever. They would be too expensive to try and create to last forever. So the things that can go wrong, this motor here can stop spinning, or it can become unreliable. The drive head itself, if a small piece of dirt, or dust should I say, manages to get inside the hard disk, that can cause the drive head to either fail, or if the drive head were to touch the disk, it actually floats just above the disk. If it were to touch the disk, it can also cause tiny bits of information to be lost. And the actuator itself can fail. So this tiny motor or actuator could stop moving, which means the drive head can't move. And other failures which can happen is this disk head can get too close to the motor here, and it can actually crash into it, which obviously causes the disk to fail as well. So there's a number of ways in which hard disks can fail. And it's typical for a hard disk to go maybe 3 years, 4 years before it fails, possibly longer. It's also quite possible that you put in a brand new hard disk and it's just a manufacturing error, means that maybe it fails within days or weeks of receiving the drive. So drive manufacturers will tell you that the mean time to failure, the average time to failure, maybe is 5 years. But you can't say at 5 years we need to go and replace this drive, or we'll deal with that in 5 years' time, because it can fail anywhere from 1 day, 10 years. You just have no idea. You have an idea approximately how long it might take on average, but not that specific drive. So what they use to get around this is a system known as RAID. And there's many different numbers of RAID, RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 6, and it goes on. However, we're going to look at a specific version of RAID called RAID 1. RAID itself means a redundant array of independent disks. And that's where we get the word RAID from, redundant array of independent disks. So if we look at RAID 1, what is happening with RAID 1 is we have 2 hard disks, so disk 1 and disk 2, and this is the diagrammatic picture which we use for a hard disk. So disk 1 and disk 2. And we're looking at RAID 1. So in this case here, what happens when I save something to the hard disk, instead of on your computer where it saves one copy on one hard disk, it will save that copy onto both disks at exactly the same time. So we have an identical copy of the same information on each disk. And that is known as a mirror. So disk 2 will mirror disk 1. Exactly the same information will be on there. So at any time, if disk 2 breaks, so it stops working, or the information on it can't be saved for some reason, maybe the disk head crashes and suddenly I lose disk 2, it doesn't matter at all, because disk 1 is still running and there's still identical information on disk 1. So all that has to happen when I have a failure of a disk is I just take this disk 2 out of the system, and often there's a slot inside the server so I can just pull the thing out, take disk 2 out, and then I replace it with a brand new hard disk, and then it will copy all the information from disk 1 onto the new disk 2. And now if disk 1 were to fail, it can use the new disk 2, or whichever one fails first, we just pull that one out. And the system was only really unreliable during what could be a possibly 1 hour period to remove disk 2, maybe a 10-hour period in which the information is being mirrored across to the new disk 2. So there might be a 10, 11-hour period, for instance, where I only have one disk available, and so my system has a lot more potential during that period of time for it to be unreliable and lose information. However, within the space of what might be 3-5 years, losing it and only having one disk running for 10 hours is relatively reliable. However, that in itself, we don't want to risk this, because it's possible, for instance, if we were to have a power surge or a lightning strike, it's possible that we might lose both disks. So in this case here, we will have a tape system backup whereby even though we've lost our entire computer system, it's not going to be working for several hours, we can still get 2 new disks in there and we can back up from tapes. Or it might be offline storage where somewhere remotely we've got a hard disk which is also backing up our system as well. And so all of this put in using, for instance, RAID 1, which repeats the disk, mirrors the disks, and using offsite storage as well to create a backup, means that even in the event of a fire or the event of a lightning strike or the event of hard disk failures, which are very common, we can still have our system up and running as long as possible. And even if that system goes down, we can get it back up and running again.